I respect disagree podcast. Technically, it's a continuation of episode 104, but we're gonna call it 105 anyway. So appreciate those that have already listened to it or watched it on YouTube and reached out to me. Definitely appreciate the love and the support. And a lot of the people here in the city, chimed in on the Facebook Live. Definitely appreciate the comments from that perspective. But I got two guys with me. DJ, he was on a couple episodes when we were talking about Kevin Samuel. So
Yes, sir.
that was some good ones. And then shout out my guy Mario. I've mentioned him several times on the podcast with my therapist made me do this podcast. So now we can officially put a face with the name. Plus, you done the Gucci versus Jeezy with me. And I think we might have been on another one. But
I think
anyway,
I think that was it. I gotta do better, bro. I gotta do better. My bad.
no, honestly, I think it has been twice. I don't know what we talked about. Was you in Turkey then?
Yep.
Okay, maybe it was. That's why I said, man, we're climbing on up that ladder, man. I'm getting old. I'm getting old. But officially, man, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back, both of y'all. And just to recap real quick, I did a conversation based on an incident that happened here in Louisville over the weekend, where 5 teenagers were shot down at the waterfront by the walking bridge. And it's been an ongoing conversation because for a few summers now, it's just been craziness going on as it relates to our youth and teenagers and things like that. So we were just having a conversation, just trying to give thoughts on what we can do as a whole or a community, or some of the things that we can do to try to help remedy this. And Mario reached out to me as well as DJ. So the floor is yours, man. Whoever wants to go first, feel free. Mario, I know there's a few things you said that you did agree with, but it was some that you disagreed with. So I'm anxious to hear what's going on, man.
Man. So trying to figure out where to actually start. So first off, shout out to E and Coach for a great episode, man. I know like I'm from Atlanta, so being in a big city, I totally understand like how things like ebb and flow and how, things used to be and how things are. So I can understand how frustrating it is sometimes being an old head. And you see the way, your community is, man, it's hella frustrating. Man, just I don't even know where to start. So let's start with the parents should take responsibility for the kids' action. So
Okay.
I'm kind of indifferent on that. I'll be honest with you. So I think if my kids are outside playing, football or something, they break a window, absolutely. You come over, you talk to me. Yeah, we're gonna make sure everything is cool. I think when you start talking about more heinous crimes or bigger crimes, man, I don't I don't see I don't see how it's beneficial to blame parents in addition to the kids, because essentially you're basically saying, well, this kid wasn't raised right, and this kid, didn't learn right from wrong. When the truth is, man, y'all could have went to that pier, and you could have talked to that fool that was shooting, or just some kids, any kids that are doing something crazy. Most kids know right from wrong. They just choose to make dumb decisions along the way. And as a parent, you hope that one day the light bulb comes on and they get it. I don't necessarily think that every kid that does something stupid comes from a bad home. I think a lot of the times, like peer pressure, your environment, kind of, going through that phase where you're trying to fit in, I think that plays a huge part in it too. And I don't know if I necessarily feel like parents should take the primary responsibility of a kid committing a crime or a child committing a crime. That's just me.
No, I
We'll
get
throw
it.
that in
You
the
know what?
atmosphere.
You know what? And it makes perfect sense. And DJ, I'm gonna give you the floor here in a second. And I guess it might be better if I put all of this into context, because it got so bad here to where now you can't be under the age of 17 and come in the mall without a legal guardian, because kids were just coming in the mall. I'm talking about full mobbing people, like just coming up, hitting them in the back of the head, trying to rob people, fights breaking out. So none of the malls here, like there's a curfew. After a certain amount of time, you have to have a legal guardian. Then I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, DJ. It was maybe what, about 2 or 3 summers ago, where all those teenagers was running around downtown, breaking windows, and I'm talking about like mob,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
out of control kids. And that's why I sent you that list of the schools, just to kind of put
Cool.
things in perspective, because I'm saying that like this is a everyday thing. Like this is a common, like, you know, of course, every city, every place has their troublesome kids, and you may have those incidents here and there. And that's where I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, you can't just put that on the parents. But this is a collective group, summer after summer, and they're just going to public places, basically terrorizing things to the point to where it's like, I don't even feel safe taking my family anywhere. And I guess that's kind of the overall message when we start talking about parenting, because like I said to you earlier, it's like, okay, this is going on in school. Now that school is out, they're straight taking this to the streets. And this is where DJ, you come in and play it, because these are some of the things you see on a regular basis. And at least you're there to intervene to try to stop it while you're in school. Well, now you on the streets, there's not anybody there. So unless what happened over the weekend, 5 kids get shot, you know what I'm saying? Who's there to regulate what's going on? And I guess that's kind of where like the city is just begging and crying for a solution, and everybody's just trying to pinpoint and just figure out, how did we lose so many kids? You see what I'm saying?
Man, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you coming in
Uh,
clear, dog. You good?
Man,
Oh, yeah.
look, I say, why not on the parents? 100%. See, this is my take. Me, I work in a middle school. So that's on the ages where they getting into hitting their puberty stages, hormones out of control, 6, 7, and 8th graders, because I work security. So I deal with everything and all of it. It's not like, you're a teacher, you're a 6th grade teacher, you don't know what's going on with 7th and 8th grade. Like, I'm straight in it, and I deal with the fights. I'm the mediator. I call parents and everything. So, like, when I say it's on the parents, because the kids, they didn't choose to be in this world. So
Right.
now that these kids are here, now you have a duty. Now you have to sacrifice. You have to do whatever you can to make sure that that kid has the best possible outcome. And the biggest issue, and I'm gonna ruffle some feathers, but I can care less, but it's single parent house homes.
Well, you glad
Literally,
you
Okay.
got right into
single
it. Yeah.
parent house homes. I'm gonna say it because look, it goes like this. Every single one of them kids that was downtown, that was probably in middle school, under 16 years old, parents don't know where the kids are because it's a single parent house home. I will tell you, in my school, in middle school, all my kids who was getting into fights, having issues, being disrespectful, was either raised by a single parent or grandma. Literally, one of those two. And it was very rare where I have a kid, literally the kid probably that got into a fight, what might be in a 2-parent house home, is because the other kid started it and they was the ones defending themselves, or they just got to a boiling point to where they felt like that they was getting bullied and they went off.
Now you gotta
So
defend yourself. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
and this is what I see, and I would literally say 9 times out of 10, dude, I literally had to make phone calls. And when you said on the first part with E and Coach, uh, when you was talking about how you'll make the phone call and the parents is like, well, what did you say to them to make them
Off the
go off,
off the rip, they
bro?
immediately go to that, like, damn, like your kid can't do nothing. Nah, I get it.
Oh, dude,
Get it.
it's been so ridiculous to the point to where, like, suspending them ain't enough. And I don't know what Coach does, because I remember he was talking about how they really don't be suspending the kids or whatever. Because I think he worked with elementary, right?
Yep, he's in elementary. I said
Okay,
him
so
and
that
my wife are in the same building, and like I said, by me volunteering to coach, when I come in, I see all of this stuff, and that's why I'm telling you, like, it amazes me when I walk through the doors and you hear some of the things that are coming from 8 and 9 year olds, and these are things that even as a man, I don't even say around my elders. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
mhm.
but it goes back to some of the layers that y'all trying to peel, because Mario, I see your reactions over there, and it's like once he touched on that single parent household, like those are major factors in all of that. So while your thoughts is rumbling over, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, man. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So DJ, let me. I'm glad you brought up the single parent home. So now this may not. This is going to be a bad generalization because this may not be every single parent, right? But most single parents, obviously, look at the state of the economy right now. Most single parents are working 1, 2 jobs, working long hours. So the time that a normal two-parent household you would assume would have to like rear their children or be involved, like like we are, like they may not have that opportunity. So when I when I hear people say like you blame the kids, so let's think about it. If all 50 states made a law that said, all right, your kid commits a crime, it's all on the parent. Who's that predominantly going to target? It's going to target low income families,
Mm,
particularly single parent ones at that. So you think if they're working longer hours, they don't have time to pour into their kids. I was reading some states they take a driver's license, um, they put liens on your home. I was reading this one lady, her kid, she had to pay a fine for truancy and she couldn't afford it. She got sent to jail because she couldn't pay the truancy fine for her kid, and then she died. Like she died in jail. So I'm just like, I don't. It's nuts. So it's almost. I think it's actually bigger than the parents. I think Coach was saying that like you can't just say it's on the parents. I think it's way deeper than the parents. Like I was telling Adrian, like this is like a generational issue where you have kids, you have I hate to say women, but I know women. I can show you the screenshot that would rather have they want to have kids, but they don't want a man to have nothing to do with the situation. They have no desire to have a traditional home, so to speak. It's like I just want to have kids. I just need a man to just come help me produce the child, and that's it. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. So you've already deemed us as the man, which is typically in a normal home, like the father's the person that's kind of the disciplinarian or the person that's kind of like, hey, you're getting crazy, like get back in the straight and narrow. But like it's almost like people don't want that anymore. Like we've glorified this independence of society where like we don't need anybody, we need any help from anybody. And don't even get me started on the it takes a village thing, which I hope we kind of get into in a second, because I feel like we have lost that as a whole. And when you start talking about things to improve, man, like I coach high school basketball. I'm at my kids' school 6 days a week. But I can't be there all the time. I can't be there for every period. So somebody like DJ, I would be like, DJ, hey, man, keep an eye on Jay, man. Just make sure he ain't doing nothing stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
If he
I
do,
do it
hey,
all the
you got
time.
the green light to check him. You know what I'm saying? But like you
Yep.
said, when you call parents, the first thing they say is, oh, well, what did you say to him? Well, hell no, what did your kid come to school and do? I wouldn't have to say nothing to your kid if they were doing what they were supposed to do. But we have gone away from wanting a village to help raise our kids. I can't be everywhere at one time. So I rely on a lot of people, teachers, coaches, they call me for everything. But for some reason, parents nowadays, they don't want you to say nothing to their kids and they want them to just run amok like crazy. I'm just like,
That's see, but that's the crazy part. Like, yeah, it do take a village. And what I mean by it takes a village, it starts in the home, but then you have to allow the teachers and administrators of the school to do their part. And then if it comes back on you, you have to do back your part. And one big thing that is a solution is these kids getting involved. They need to get involved in something, whether if it's a sport, a club, something that they passionate about, shoot, church. I don't care what it is. These kids need to get involved in something. If they don't involve, that time is going to they're going to occupy their time with something negative, especially when it comes to that single parent household. And when a single parent has to, like you said, work 1 or 2 jobs, 3 jobs, like that's all that time where these kids are raising themselves. Kids are raising kids because these kids are being raised by parents that are younger, young of age and, you know, thinking that they still 18 years old and they all of
Clubbing.
Right.
37, still trying to live the 21-year-old life, single, I'm independent, strong, don't need no man. Sit your butt down. Sit down. That's not goals.
But you know what? And just to piggyback off of that real quick, because y'all both touched on two great things, and I'm glad we having this conversation because Mario, you literally just kind of changed my perspective on what I said yesterday in terms of, like I said, I was just throwing out some off the wall resolution when I was mentioning like, okay, hold the parents accountable for their kids' actions. But once you said, okay, if you have a single parent household and this parent is constantly working just to keep things afloat, then this child does have that freedom of or that sense of I can go out here and do whatever I want to with no consequences because my mom or dad is not here to monitor it, then it does cause a problem because the parent is already in a situation where they're trying to make ends meet. And that right there would open up a whole nother can of worms. So salute to you with that. And I'm glad we're on here because now it's like, damn, like you said, who would that impact the most? And when you sit back and really, really think about that, you're like, dang. And then DJ, you saying the kids have to get involved in more activities. And that's why I shared that post this morning. And I saw where you commented on it, Mario. And this was another mother from here locally, here in Louisville. And I'm saying that I feel like that's important because it's the summertime and going back to single parent households and things like that. If these parents are at work and they're trusting these kids to do what a normal kid would do, because I know for myself, my parents used to be like, hey, we going to work. Don't let nobody in this house. If I find out anybody was in this house, I'm busting your ass when I get back home.
Yep.
Don't answer this phone. Don't do like they laid down the law, and we were fearful enough to know that, hey, I'm not going out this door. I'm not answering the door. I'm not doing nothing until they come back home. Where nowadays it's like you have that fear that it's like, all right, as soon as I walk out the door, either my kid is sneaking some little girl in the house or some little boy in the house, or as soon as I'm gone, they gone. And then for you know it, kids getting involved in selling and doing stupid stuff. And it's like, that's where I feel we have to keep them going, keep them involved in things so that it keeps their mind occupied. It ain't necessarily a
Yep.
sense of me saying that dropping them off at boys and girls clubs and things equate to great parenting or nothing like that. It's just trying to figure out a way to keep their minds occupied so they don't turn to the streets. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like
And I think that's. Oh, go ahead, DJ.
no. Go ahead, man.
So I was gonna say, when you say like I agree with what you're saying. It just like the way she worded it, I was just like, I got you, but like having your kids busy is one thing. Like that's great because it does occupy their time. But like as a parent, you still have to make sure
Right.
that you're locking in and taking care of them as well. Like you're doing the parenting part, not just dropping my kids off here. Oh, you done here? We're going to soccer. Oh, you done here? We're going to football. That's fantastic that you're keeping them busy. But what if you're dropping your kids off and they still hellions? You know what I'm saying? They're giving everybody else hell. So I think Coach can probably relate to this too. So going back to where it takes a village, right? When you have single parent kids or, kids that come into situations like that, like DJ said, having your kids involved in sports. And this is where trusting us as coaches come into play. So, this year I coach basketball this year. And, I'm very good. We make our kids sign a behavior contract. We literally have a whole team building thing. We write out everything like, hey, these are your expectations when you wear a Canyon View basketball jersey. Like you represent not only me, but the school too. So here's what our expectations of you are. Anytime you have any school gear on, your pants are up. Your pants aren't sagging off your ass. On game days, you wearing slacks or khakis and a polo shirt. Like that's what you're wearing, and we're very strict on that kind of thing because we want to make sure that we're setting a good example. And hopefully, when they go home, that kind of carries over because they know, like, hey, I can't do this because coach gonna start tripping on me, and I ain't gonna be able to play my sport or do whatever. And you kind of hope those things help translate over to being, a good person, a good young man, or what have you. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, when I read that comment, the young lady said, I just like, I get it. Keeping your kids busy is great, but if I'm keeping my kids busy all the time so I can do other stuff, I don't know if that's exactly
Right.
don't exactly make you a great parent. That's kind of what I was trying to say.
And honestly though, but it's like, and after this, DJ, I'll let you touch back on it. I guess to better explain why I shared it, because in my opinion, I feel like at this point in time, this city in particular, Louisville, is in a crisis. Like every year we've shadowed the previous year for homicides. Like constant, like you see a pattern. Like so many parents are just like begging and pleading for something to be done. So now it's just like everybody's just trying to offer some form of a solution to like what is it? What can be done? So when I see these things via social media, and that's coming from somebody I have no idea who it was, but I was just reading it and I was just saying to myself, I'm like, bro, like that is a powerful message because it's to me. I promise you, bro. Like if we ride downtown right now, waterfront, after somebody just 5 kids just got shot 2 days ago, I bet if I ride down there right now at this moment, you'll probably see 200 teenagers right back out there again. And somebody's out there fighting. Somebody's just, and it's like, it just keeps going on and on and on. And every summer is the same thing. And it just keeps like a snowball, bro. And I'm like, what is it that can be done? And it's easier said than done, of course. Former U of
Absolutely.
L player, Mr. Valentine, you know what I'm talking about, DJ.
Mhm.
He does a free camp all summer long, all age groups, and he makes it free for this reason that we're talking about. He's like, any opportunity that I have to just try to bring these kids in here, teach them the game, teach them just common daily skills that they can use, not even in basketball, but outside of basketball. He said he's been doing this camp for 30 years. I put my kids
Mm.
in it for the first time. And as soon as they walked through the door, he pulled everybody center court. He said, I got rules. No sagging. You're going to address everybody as yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And that, as soon as I heard it, I was sold because
Yep.
I had an incident when I was coaching here in elementary. I pull a kid to the side because he's being disruptive, causing issues. And I'm sitting there talking to him and he's looking down at the floor. So then that's when coach come over. He's talking to him. I'm like, look, man, when somebody's talking to you, look them in their eye. If he asks you a question, yes, sir, no, sir, he wouldn't say it. And I'm sitting there like,
Mm.
but then it's like when you bring it to the parents kind of push back on it too. And it's kind of like, you're not gonna make my kids say no, sir, and yes, sir. And it's like,
Oh God, I hate that.
at that point, it's like, well, now you got to skate
Exactly.
on that thin ice on when this kid acts out in practice. Like we had to threaten to send kids home, and even that didn't work. You all know for yourself, bro. When coach used to tell us, get on the line, oh damn.
Yep.
All right, look, I don't want to run
Man.
suicides. I don't want to run bleachers. Like that's all coach had to say was get on the line.
Yep.
And we was all the horsing around and goofing off. It was done. We threaten these kids to run suicides. They're laughing and goofing off while they're running suicides. And it's like, shit, what can you do, man?
Right. And I'm glad you touched on that because like when you was thinking about another solution, and another solution is just don't become that statistic. Just as parents, don't put your kids in that position to where they are in that group. See, as a coach and working in the school system, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do at school. If I touch a kid to be better than they thought that they could ever be, whether it's in the classroom or a coach, that's great. But outside or doing all this extra stuff, like that's kind of like, why am I going to pour so much energy into somebody else's kid when I got my own kids? I'm going to pour all that energy into them for them to be the best version of themselves that they can be. So then when they grow up, they're going to be a great member in society. They're going to excel. So I'd rather put my energy in my own kids, but at the same time, like when I'm at school or when I'm at work, that's my part as a village. But anything on the outside of that, it's like I'm taking away from my own kids because I don't want them to be grouped in that. So I'm going to do whatever I can do for mine first. And that is a solution to make sure that your kids don't become a statistic. Make sure that they not in that crowd. Make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to do, that they are responsible. So I'm not going to, do all this extra here, extra there for this child's for this child when the own parents can care less on what's going on. Because at that point, it's almost like, what can you do? Just like what you said, like kids is over here laughing and stuff, and parents is going along with it, like the yes sir and no sir and stuff like that. It's almost like, okay, why should I care more than you on how important this is? So I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do here, but anything else on the outside is kind of like, good luck. Shoot, do you? But I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna put this energy into my kids because they're gonna excel. Because we know as parents that the more attention you bring into your kids, the better that they do. So hey, that's just me. I mean, you could say that's hey DJ, you wrong. You gonna leave the kids like that? Heck yeah, I'm gonna leave the kids like that because they not my responsibility. It is what it is. I'm about to go Super Saiyan on them, dude.
I ain't even supposed to be laughing. Now it's supposed to be a serious conversation.
Right.
But you know what?
We serious, DJ. We serious, bro.
Like,
hey man.
but that's an interesting point. It really is. And Mario, again, I'll throw it back over to you real quick. I just want to touch on it just real quick because I agree and I disagree a little bit. And what I say, what I mean by that is, I'll use myself. I was able to hang out with some people that I maybe shouldn't have hung out with, but I was able to distinguish what activities not to get involved with. Once I saw them start doing certain things, I knew, all right, I need to go the other way. I credit my parents for that. But at the same time, I knew like, all right, no. So my parents did a great job of teaching me right from wrong and doing all of that. But as it pertains to everybody else, I think me volunteering to coach, I signed up for the obligation of no matter how hard it is, I got to try to reel this kid in some shape, form, or fashion. I've been coaching now for about this is my third or fourth year. And every year I've had a kid that I'm talking about give us hell. But no matter what, I'm still every day trying to get this kid to see things from my perspective. Even this kid that we was just talking about, we did a banquet. I gave this big old speech and talked about how me and this kid argued every day. And by the time I finished my speech, this kid was smiling. The parents were smiling. They came up and talked to me. It's like, thank you. We trying to get him. Just keep working with us. We gonna get him right. We gonna do what we need to do. And I'm saying to myself, that was a mission accomplished. Where some people are like, nah, I can't handle it. And then push them back out there. And then that's how they end up going the wrong way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's I get it.
But everybody,
I get that
it ain't for
100%.
everybody. But I'm saying,
no, but you're right. You're right about that because I mean, as a coach, you doing what you got to do when you're when you're basically clocked in, and you doing everything you got to, going above and beyond as a coach. I get that, yeah, definitely. But I'm saying after all that is done, like all the extra stuff, like it's Saturday. And you want to get a call, hey, little Johnny acting up. Like, can you say that such and such? No, I'm not doing that. Like that's your time. You do that. You pour that energy into them.
But here we go.
And I'll get them on Monday.
Hold on, DJ. So Adrian, let me jump in real quick.
Okay.
If you're DJ, if you're getting phone calls like that, that means that child, that parent, that whoever, they view you as somebody that's influential in their kid's life. And you might not get paid for it, but on the weekends, they saying, hey man, Mr. DJ, man, I'm going through some crazy shit right now. Can you help me out? Like a lot of times, a lot of these kids, and you tell me if I'm wrong, because you broke up fights, all kinds of crazy stuff at school. But like sometimes kids just need somebody to see that they give a damn about them. That's what I've learned in just from mentoring kids. Like it sometimes when you tell a kid like, yo, like I'm not leaving till you get this right. Or we gonna sit here and finish this till you get it right. Like I know you're smarter than what you're leading me on the beat. So I want you to be great. And kids just break down crying because they've never had anybody tell them like, yo, like I believe in you. And you need to quit doing all this dumb shit because I see greatness in you. So like maybe they look at you as like, man, DJ
And
Cool.
yeah, you're right. They do. And
Hey, he said, "Look,
Hold
I
on.
done broke up enough
Hold
fights,
on.
man. On Saturdays, I'm done.
no, because I look at it like, like you have to do your part. I'm doing my part as the village when it's my time. If it's my little daughter's birthday on Saturday, you calling me up when they about to sing happy birthday. Hey, I need you to talk to little Johnny, like he's really acting up or something. I was like, all right, I'll get with him on Monday. Like nothing extra, nothing like that. But like, do what you got to do. I'll get with him on Monday because I'm not about to sacrifice my time for your child from the decisions that you made and why they acting like that. For me to have to step in, I'm not their father. That's not me.
Mhm.
I'm relinquishing that responsibility to whoever else, whoever that kid's father is, uncle, granddad, mom, grandma, get them involved at this moment. But I'll get him on Monday. And that's how I roll. That's me. Because
Yeah.
all my extra attention, all my time, they're going to my kids, they're going to my wife, they're going to my household. Because as the leader of my household, I got to make sure that I'm leading, my kids into being upstanding citizens, respectable, doing everything that I can do, and know that daddy was always there. So I
Absolutely.
mean, anybody can call it any old way, say, oh man, dang, that's still messed up. I mean,
Nah.
forget your feelings. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm thinking,
Yeah. Yeah.
Then stand
like, this
on
is how
it.
it
There.
is.
Stand
Yeah.
on it.
Dude.
Stand on
Yes,
it.
sir.
And that's where I feel like, honestly, like I feel like maybe that is where I have a soft spot, because one example that stands out and it all ties into what we're talking about. I had a kid came in third grade. You could tell that this kid was going to be a great athlete. Like this kid had super huge hands and all this and that. And I'm looking at this kid and I'm just like, you know what? I'm taking him under my wing. This kid used to stay in trouble at school all the time. So the game start. This kid is so passionate about wanting to play. Every time he miss a layup, he break down crying. Every time he get a foul call, he breaks down crying. And I'm like, dog, this kid just needs something. Come to find out, he's from a single parent household. His mother was always working, so it got to the point to where sometimes after practice, I gotta take him home. When I go to take him home, hopefully, like I said, I'm not naming anybody. I'm pretty sure if they listen to it, they'll know who I'm talking about or whatever. But it's like they had a key under the mat. This kid is in the third and fourth grade going into a house with no adult. So when I saw things like that, I'm like, okay, hey, y'all hungry? Because he had a little brother too. It's like, when we grab y'all something to eat, da da da. I'll stop, get him something to eat before I drop him off. On game days, we got to go pick him up after the game. Y'all hungry? I know what's going on at home. They don't have the resources. They don't have the things like that. So we lost him his fifth grade year because of COVID. We didn't have a season. So even though this kid doesn't play for me anymore, I still, hey, give me your basketball schedule. I'm going to come watch your games. I'm going to come do this and do that. So it's like me putting forth that extra effort. Even when I see his mom out at the store, I saw you out. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And come pick him up sometimes. Y'all go to the park, go shoot, go do things like that. I'm not getting paid for it either, but it's like I'm not going to turn down that opportunity. You see what I'm saying? Because it may make a difference in making sure this kid stays on the right path. Because
So
you already know he has some behavior issues and things like that. So he's teetering on that scale. You know what I'm saying?
okay, so that situation right there, if it was daddy daughter day and everybody, the girls was all excited and you got hit
Uh-oh.
up, but like, hey, he really needs you right now, what are you choosing?
Yeah, Adrian, what you choosing?
Oh Lord.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by
Yeah,
the clock in.
Oh
Because
Lord.
it's hard. Like, although you doing everything that you're trying to do to try to help these kids and do everything so they don't end up as a statistic or whatever, like you still got to think, of course, as a man of your house, family comes first. And although we may look at these kids and our teams like family, like it's not the same thing. And although we have a passion for this and a passion for coaching and coaching up these kids and making sure that they stay on the right path and do good in school and have good behaviors and all that, it's like you can only do so much as
that
an
is very true.
outsider.
That is true.
And that's my dig on that.
That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, I ain't mean to talk and ramble that much, Mario.
No, you
No, no,
good. That
no,
was
no.
good.
That was good. And like honestly, like I respect DJ's opinion. And Adrian, you joked about it, but like, hey, maybe he is tired of breaking up fights all the time. And he just like, yo, like, bro, listen, I'm out here trying, bro. I don't know how many pictures, motivational quotes you want me to get. I don't know. I'm tired. Like, look, it's time for me to take care of my kids. And I will always tip my hat off to anybody that makes their family the priority. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
Right.
you're wrong for that at all. I think for me personally, I came from a long line of people that could have gave up on me, but they didn't. And even as I transitioned to the military, like it was a bunch of people that just saw something in me. And I think just subconsciously, I'm just like, man, shit, I gotta go do this. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta go help this kid because this might be the next me. Or they might not. Like you said, like sometimes like you can only do so much for people. And I don't know when you cut the cord for it. I don't. But I don't know. It's rough, man. It's a weird catch-22. It really is. It's a weird
Yeah, yeah.
catch-22.
It really is. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to separate the the scenarios as to why a kid may be acting up. So this is a great conversation because now reflecting back on what I was saying yesterday and looking at the situation where this kid may be coming from a broken home and just need guidance, and this may be why he or she is acting out. It ain't necessarily the opposite side where it's just like, man, these kids are just thugs, they criminals, they this and that. Like some kids just need somebody to grab them and pull them in. So it's like thinking about all of that now. It's a great conversation, man. It really
See,
is.
but you also kind of got to look at it this way. Like, you got to think almost 80% of America is being raised by single mothers. 80%.
Ooh, ooh.
So when we do this, are we taking away accountability from the choices that they made in life? Like, you decide to have a baby without requiring marriage. You decided to have this baby or, not give them up to grandma or whatever. You knew it was going to be hard. You trying your best. That's cool. But at the same time, you can't expect people like us to take full scale responsibilities on things when they are not inside the home because you mad because I'm calling you. Y'all touched on this yesterday when it came to calling the parents, and mom's mad because she probably worked third shift and you waking her up because her son or daughter just got into a fight. And it's kind of like, I mean, these are the choices that you made. I'm trying to warn you so you can handle this accordingly. Because
Right.
in the schools, we can only do so much. We can't put
Yeah.
hands on them. We can't, give them a whooping. Ain't no paddling no more. Don't you know that you can only suspend a kid for 10 days throughout the entire year? 10 days. So if they get suspended 1 day here, 12 years, you only can go up to 10. After that, you have to suspend them to the board. So when you suspend them to the board, once they get 10 days, if it's not like, let's say they cussed out a teacher, cussed out a teacher, whatever, they're not getting suspended for that because they already reached their 10-day max. But if they if they put hands on somebody else, then we can suspend them to the board. So like it's
Wow.
it's so many different channels that you gotta go to that you gotta go through. And the school system is failing the kids. Yeah, I said it. I said it. The school system is failing the kids. If y'all knew what rules go down and the only amount of things that we can do, it is horrible. And we try to do whatever we can to do the least restrictive. you going off on a teacher, I gotta pull you out to the side. Hey man, look, what's going on, man? Like, oh no, whatever. She got me messed up, man. And I told her, I said, I better not see you on the outside. Like, this is the conversations going on. And I gotta try
Yeah.
to calm them down. And then I'm sitting here talking to them like this. They're like, you better not put your hands on me. And I tell them, get buck. If you won't get buck, this is what's gonna happen. Not only are you gonna get dropped, but you're gonna catch a charge because you put your hands on me first. It is what it
DJ
is.
a wild boy, man. DJ is a wild boy.
But you know what? And I'm glad
You're
we're
right,
having
though.
this conversation because like it's perfect because like I said, I sent you that list and it just so happens that one of the schools that's on that list is where he's at. So that's why I was trying to paint that picture that it's like this ain't just when I was growing up, bro, we might have seen a fight once a month, maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe. And that's why I was saying it's like I was saying it yesterday. It's like maybe it's because I'm from such a small place to where this might be coming to y'all. Like y'all just see this on a regular.
Nah, not when we was growing up, it wasn't common. Not this common. I think that COVID really messed up a lot of kids' social skills and
Absolutely.
being in the house. Like you got to think, especially when it came to fifth graders, because when we all left school and they shut it down, like they didn't, like a fifth grader didn't get to finish the end of the fifth grade year. Then the sixth grade year, they was cut off. Nobody went to school. And then the year after that, it was like you go half a week type thing. So they didn't get to really interact or play sports or anything like that. And now they over here in the eighth grade now, and it's kind of like, dang, like how do I act? Hey, like it was a mess. And I had that list too. I looked at that list and I was like, dang, was it really that many? Because so many was going through my mind.
But what was so alarming is like the elementary schools that was on there. And like I said, we had to play against some of them schools basketball season. And it's like, I know what I saw at the school where I help at. So you're trying to tell me that these schools were worse than what I seen? I was like, I can't even picture that. So that's why, to get back on track of the conversation, so we're not just sitting here rambling, it's like, I'm trying to understand how that can be possible for an entire city like that. Like we're talking about a large group of kids. So yeah, we're watering down solutions and causes and why that is, but it's like, I guess you don't want to say there's no answer for it. You just got to deal with like, I don't know, man. That's tough.
So,
and that's why I said the
guys,
system. Go ahead, Mario.
No. So actually, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the system because I believe I don't remember the young lady who was on yesterday, but I believe she said something about her kids being in private school. Like I think she said like that's why my kids are in private school. And when you showed me that list, the first thing I asked you, I said, "Are these inner city schools?" Because I forgot what was the first school, Biffle. They were like 722. I said, "Bro, that's a Royal Rumble, like 2 days a week." But and you're absolutely right, DJ. Like the school system, man, you can go a little further up, like the school officials, the mayors, the governors, man, like it's something about in inner city schools where they're just like, man, let them be. Like just let them be. We don't want to pay the teachers. We don't want to give them the resources to be successful. Then you couple that with like single parents that are just, just barely making ends meet. So the kids don't have basic stuff, pens, pencils, notebooks, whatever. But some kind of way they got iPods,
got the new
iPhone,
J.
like
the
new J's. Right. So it's like it's weird. So you're absolutely right when you said a little while back, like, man, like at what point, like single parents have to start taking accountability. But man, it seems like it almost feels like being a single parent in the inner city is like a pandemic in itself. But it's like how long do we punish people for being single parents? Like, all right, so you're a single parent, you made a possible bad mistake, like got it, but like how do we fix it? Or like do we have resources to help these people? And it almost feels like school systems just like it's not worth putting the money into this certain area, so we're just gonna let it blow up, and whatever happens, and we just gonna live with it. And I think that's absolutely crazy.
That's basically what it is. Hell,
yep.
I told you, like when I first moved here, and we had to sign our daughter up for kindergarten, we had to go fill out application. Like so many kids, so many parents are trying to make sure they send their kids to the quote unquote best schools and things like that to where they fill up. We had to have a letter of recommendation for kindergarten. And I'm like,
Wow.
what in
Wow.
the world is going on? And it's like now she's getting ready to go into middle school starting next year. And my wife is terrified. Like, what middle school could we possibly send her to where we're not subjecting our kids to things that list, you know what I'm saying? Like that's in the back of my mind now. Like I'm gonna
Go
admit,
ahead, send her with me. I got her.
I
Don't
was
worry
getting
about
ready to say the
it.
same thing.
Send it to
I was
me.
about to say, yo, send him to DJ school.
Hey, I got her.
He a part of the village. He a part of the village. Like real life. Hey,
I'm-
so let me ask y'all this. So we as parents, don't get offended when I say this, but like we do a great job at like sheltering our kids, right?
you took it out
At
of my
what
mouth.
point do we say, all right, I know this ain't like the ideal situation, but like I have to expose you to like eventually. Like and I'm not saying go to like the Biffle Elementary School, wherever that number one school was, but like at what point do we say, all right, I taught you everything you need to know, you know right from wrong, I've instilled this in you. You kind of got to get your first taste of the real world. And public school can be hella overwhelming, especially for kids that have been in like real good schools and you go to like a middle school, it's like, y'all crazy as hell here. Like, at what point do we take the leash off, so to speak, and say, all right, man,
Hey,
like
I'm
I kind
glad
of let you go in the
you
world.
said that.
I'm glad
I'm
he
glad
did
you
too,
said
because
it,
that's where I was going. Go ahead, DJ.
man. Because shoot, at least with me and my experience, like of course, as father and the leader of my household and everything like that, like I have to do certain things and have uncomfortable conversations. Like this is the reality of things. When my daughter was going into middle school, and of course she came to the school I was going at, because I know if she go anywhere else, she could have went to a better middle school, but she chose that was her first big decision. Do you want to go here or do you want to go to this school with me? And she
Yeah.
was like, I want to go with you, which I kind of wanted that because I know what happens in middle school. And me and her sat down. I said, look, I said, you know right from wrong. I said, you know how it is. I said, there's going to be things that happen in middle school that I cannot protect you from. You are going to hear things that you have never heard. You're going to see things that you have never seen, whether
Yes, Lord.
fights and go back and forth with like boys or girls being like inappropriate, boys being inappropriate. Like you're going to go through all these things and you're going to see them. They might not necessarily happen to you right off, but you're definitely going to see them. And when I tell you she had a crash course, man, hey, but she still went through the whole year, got all A's, didn't have
You
no
made sure she was
troubles,
ready.
That's
and I
Yep.
dope.
made
You
sure
made
she
sure
was
she was
good.
ready. Yep.
See, and
Yep.
that's the thing. I can do the same thing for Aubrey, bro. I got
Look,
you.
I swear, look, we might have
I
to
got
pull
her.
up, dog. We might need to have that same talk. Write it down for me or something. Because that's exactly where I was going when I was saying all of that. Because my kids are green, super green. And it's
Same.
almost
Same.
like going back to what you were saying, it's like now I'm at that part where it's like, do I introduce it to them a little bit? Like, no lie, like I've gotten to the point to where now when I'm in the car, just me and my son, every now and then I'll play one or two rap songs and may let some F bombs and this and that go. Like they know what cuss words and stuff are. But when I tell you, my sister-in-law was like, Aubrey was doing something and she was like, oh my God, Aubrey, that's so ghetto. And Aubrey looked at her like she had no idea. She's like, you don't know what ghetto is? And Aubrey just looked at her. And in my mind, I'm like, do I feel bad for that? Or I'm like, damn, like my kids are green, bro. Like for real. And I'm
And see, ain't
terrified.
nothing wrong with that. Ain't
It's not.
nothing wrong
It's
with
not.
that. But to be honest, like as long as you have that conversation, it's like you're gonna be exposed to a lot of different things. But just let them know. And that's why I told my daughter, like anything that you want to talk about or you having an issue with anybody in class or something, I said just come holler at me. I said if you don't feel comfortable talking with me at the moment, I said we can go home and you can talk to your mom. You ain't gotta let me know. Or I got good relationships with the counselors and the principals. Anybody you want to talk to, because with her going to the school that I work at, like she gets a lot of accommodations that a lot of other kids will never get. And she has all the extra help, and that's me putting energy into her to make sure that she succeeds. Because I would say middle school is the worst out of elementary, middle, and high school. Because middle school is
That's
where you
all I've
are,
heard.
because it's where you start to find yourself, you start to find your style, you start to find what type of friends, you start to grow into a woman, or your little manhood, or you trying to, your testosterone is building, or your hormones, whatever the case may be. Like all of that is going on in middle school, which equals chaos.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the uncomfortable reality with it. But it is what it is. But as long as and parents are not doing that, like my daughter was coming home knowing rap songs, but she was knowing it from her friends because she played basketball, she was on the track team, she was in clubs, and she was learning a lot of these things from her friends that she was never exposed to. But she
That's
didn't
my
take it.
kid.
Yeah, but she didn't
Coming
take
home
it
with TikTok and everything.
to
I'm like,
another
where
level.
the hell y'all getting this from? Like,
Right.
so look, Mario, let me throw this lob to you real quick, because like I said, it's great conversation and I love it, and I don't want to get here and water it all down, just going back and forth. But with you being military, does that kind of have an impact or influence, on having to sometimes relocate and putting them in different environments? Like, how does that impact them?
So it's funny you mentioned that, because I think the pod I did last night, I think I was talking about doing a show on like military families, because a lot of people don't understand it. So my wife has been in November will be 19 years. This month was 16 years for me. In 16 years, we have moved. My oldest son, Jaden, that's my stepson, he's moved 7 times. The rest of my kids have moved 6 times. We're not at a place longer than 2.5, 3 years, maybe, just because we promote out of our job. So we've been to Warner Robins, Georgia, Biloxi, Mississippi, Illinois, North Dakota, Washington, D.C. I've been to Turkey. Like, so we've been a whole bunch of places, and they use this buzzword in the military called resilience, right? And seeing military kids go through what they go through is crazy. So most military bases have their own elementary school. Most of them do, not all of them. So a lot of times when they go to school, you're with military kids. So, and we live a very like bubble life, like we do. Like you kind of, it's like I don't know if you guys ever been on a military base, but it's literally like a little world in one place. I can go grocery shopping, I can go bowling, I can eat. I don't even have to leave the base if I don't want to. So our kids only experience the little kids that grow up. You don't see a lot of public school kids or city kids, because just military kids. When we left North Dakota and came, here was his first experience. Here was my oldest son, his first experience with public school. And it's different. So you think like he's been around kids whose parents are like colonels and generals and command chiefs, and they have all this power, and their kids treat themselves like that. Like, oh, my dad is chief such and such. My dad is colonel such and such. They run the base. So there's a level of privilege that comes with that. So when they go to a public school and people like, bro, we don't give a damn what your daddy do. We don't care how many deployments he been on. Look, we about to go talk to these girls over here. You either in or you out. Why you dress like that? Why you wear your shoes like that? Is that North Dakota? That what y'all do? Like that what y'all do in North Dakota? Like it is. It was a very eye-opening experience. I've been very thankful that our kids have semi-transitioned well, but going from different types of friend groups has been a very interesting transition for us, to say the least. So it's difficult some days, but they handle it okay. But just it's different going from a very privileged military world where you're on base and get everything to like public school, where it's like an episode of the real world every day. So it's difficult. It's difficult, and I don't know how these kids manage it, but they do.
As dope. That's why I was like, it just popped up in my head to ask you that, because I know for myself, my aunt, she was military, her and her husband, they were stationed in Germany for a long time.
Mm.
And at one point they sent their kids back here to stay with my grandmother. But when they was going to school, they was getting in fights and stuff all the
Yeah.
time.
Military kids bad as shit, bro. They spoiled. They spoiled and they privileged, bro. So that's all they know. They give me what my parents are this, so it's expected that you do this for me. And if you don't, stupid stuff happens.
Cool, good stuff. That's why I was like, I didn't know if it was a situation where it's like, okay, now they have to try to adjust and fit in, or in order to be classified as the in group, they gotta be initiated and do this and that, or what I'm saying. Like with kids, it's so different, and that's the part that I'm fearful of. My daughter is so green. Once she gets introduced to this stuff in middle school, it's like, I don't know if she's gonna be enticed by that. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah.
she is. Cause guess
absolutely.
what? The crazy thing when my daughter, she was in a vet, so she was like the only black girl. There was no other black kids in there for real. There was like one or maybe two other black kids, but they was only put in there because they was having trouble in the regular classes with other students. So separating them from the crowd, they would have better behavior. But my daughter didn't associate with them because she knew that, they don't know how to act sometimes. But my daughter was getting teased because she didn't say the N-word. And they was all up on it saying that she was whitewashed. And saying that, saying, oh, you whitewashed, oh, you goody two shoes. You don't say the N-word, and they was trying to get her to say the N-word on the bus because I drove the bus too. Man, I did it all.
Damn, they do it.
Man, I drove the school bus, I drove the activity bus, did coaching, man, I did it all. But so they was trying to get her to say the N-word. She was just like, no. They was like, oh, you ain't really black. Like, these are the things that she went to, but she held her ground and she didn't change for the peer pressure, which is things that we talked about. So she's hearing what I'm saying, but those things are going to come up because my daughter was green. Now, while she's taking on some of the lingo and she's listening to some of the songs and getting in with the crazes, the TikTok dances and, all that little stuff. But as far as when it's coming to her character, like, she's not changing who she is. And I hope, she stays with that, because I told her it's only going to get more difficult the higher you go. Like, this is only 6th grade. 7th grade, you're going to get into another level. 8th grade, you're going to get into another level. And the one thing that I will say that I wish that these parents, like, there are 7th graders and 8th graders coming to the daggone school with lace front wig on, 5-inch nails, eyelashes, caked on makeup, trying to show their belly, Daisy Dukes. I'm like, what is going on to where your parents let you come out the house like at 12, 13 years old?
And that's how we gonna bring it, and it's gonna come full circle. There it is.
Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be another part of this. We're gonna get down.
That's what I'm saying. It was like that in its own self, and we ain't gonna touch on it. Like I said, it's a great conversation. Yeah. I'm glad it ended on a positive note. You know what I'm saying? We were able to laugh and joke about it. And hopefully when more people hear this, parents hear this, it's like, all right, I ain't going to be so harsh. Because I felt like yesterday, my mind frame was, man, these motherfucking parents, excuse my language, man, these parents, like, I was livid because I legit, like, I swear, like, me and my wife contemplated going down there after we left that wedding. It was only a couple of blocks away. The weather was nice. I was ready to go out there. And if we would have went, we would have been out there at the same exact time that happened. So I just got pissed. Like, I was just pissed. And then when you see the images and how like everybody just standing there watching that, it's like I was angry. And that's where a lot of my comments and things were coming from that place. But now that we done had this conversation, like, y'all done kind of made me like, you know what? I'm back to that soft spot that I was talking about as a coach. So definitely great conversation. We got to talking about military. What's up?
Oh, so go ahead. I got one more point because about kind of what you can do to try to alleviate some of the situations, but I'm gonna let you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna throw some kudos to you, man, and congratulations on your promotion and all of that, man.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, man. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. Appreciate you. I'm getting old.
Go ahead with whatever you was gonna mention.
So I can't remember if it was E or Coach, but you guys were talking about solutions and what can be done. And like you said, there's not a definite like do this and it'll work. But I do have something that I plan on doing here once I come back from this deployment that I want to start doing. But it involves like everybody. And one thing I've noticed about everybody that you've done on this podcast so far on this topic, everybody's involved in something. They're doing something with groups of kids. It was a long time ago when I lived in DC. I went to this church and they had a program called Project Graduation. So I got involved in it because I wanted to see what it was about. And basically, it was these group of men and women. They literally like almost sponsored a school. And they started from the 8th grade. And it was almost like a big brother, big sister program. They would come into the school. They would have talks and presentations and things like that after school. If the kids played sports, they were there. You know what I'm saying? And it was almost like an extension of a parent. And basically, your job was you're almost like an addition to their parent. And you started with them from the 8th grade all the way till they graduated. And that was literally like what they did. So you just had this huge group of people that literally just like put their arms around this huge group of kids, and it was open to whoever wanted to come. And I mean, they talked about leadership, peer pressure, drugs, fight. In very, very candid conversations. It wasn't like, oh, we are at church, we are here to pray. No, like this little girl is having sex and she got pregnant. Like, what can we do to not, have safer practices if that's what you choose to do? But what can we do to keep you busy, to keep your mind off of that? And the success rate they had for keeping like these kids that were some would label at risk, like out of trouble, was absolutely amazing. And I thought that was an awesome program. So everywhere I went, I just so happened to be a coach. So whenever I stay after practice, we normally talk about like parenting, life. You got in a fight. There was a kid not too long ago. We're doing summer league, and a kid from Chicago, very interesting family situation. But there have been like so many teachers that tried to pour into him and didn't listen to him. But he knew me. He knew Coach from, coaching him up or whatever. Him and his brothers got in this big ass fight at school. And I literally walked up to him and said, Jay, what the hell's wrong with you? And he's like, nah, Coach, they disrespecting me. And I said, bro, so I'm literally having this conversation with him. I'm like, bro, you were the offensive player of the year for the school. Like, they know who you are. Congratulations. You're a role model now. Like, you are an example to the people around you. You got to be bigger than the stupid situations that are going to come your way. And for some reason, nobody else could get to that kid before the rest of the year didn't have any issues. So I say all that to say, it takes time. And like you said, it's not something that's going to end overnight. Like, you got to think these are learned behaviors that these kids have had for a long time. So it's going to take a while to break through. And honestly, you're not going to be able to help everybody. But it truly does take a village of people like doing their part. If DJ with his family, hey, call somebody else that's willing to help, and fill in and step in the gap. But as single parents and parents that are struggling, you have to be willing and open enough to say, hey, I don't have this under control. I need help. Like, what can I do? Like, who can I rely on? And I just found that to be really dope. So when I come back from my deployment, that's what I plan on starting around here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And you are absolutely right, man. It's like when I do have these conversations, I try my best to bring everybody that I know can bring a great perspective to the conversation. So it ain't like I said, I don't want this podcast to just be a whole bunch of nonsense and this and that. It's like something positive is gonna come from it, man. So definitely.
Yeah, and I got on my last note, like I wanted to touch on what y'all was talking about yesterday when y'all was talking about, not yesterday, but the first part, when y'all was talking about the kids have no fear and no respect. And I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And the thing about that is because, of course, there's no consequences. And you got to think here in our city, in Louisville, all this stuff is going on because they shut down our youth detention center. And I used to work there. I worked there for a few years. And like they ended up shutting it down like a couple years ago. So like just a quick scenario, like I had 2 kids at my school that was involved in a fight. We called their parents couldn't come pick them up, so they had to sit at the school all day. They refused. They left school, refused to come back. We had to try to look for them. They ran, all that stuff. We had to call the parents, whatever. Hey, it's a so-and-so. Well, we got a call back from the police. It was like, these two kids try to break into a car, and they tried to steal a car, and we needed y'all to come up there and identify them. So me and the principal went up there, identified them. They was both our kids, had them in handcuffs in the back car. I was like, dang, so what's gonna happen? Oh, we're just gonna send them back to their mom. That's it. Send them back to mom. Nothing happens because we have no resources to be able to discipline these kids to let them know, hey, you keep doing this, you're gonna end up on lockdown right now. But we have no facilities no more. The only thing we got is camps, and the camps are like hours away in like middle of nowhere in Kentucky, and they're not willing to transport them kids, so they just sign them over to the mom, and they'll have a court date. And at that court date, won't nothing happen to them. They might get maybe a little community service, but that's about as far as it goes. And you got to think,
It gives me the green light that I can do whatever I want to.
Exactly. So, like I said again, the system is still messing up these kids, and until we get these resources back, we're gonna continue having these troubles. But as long as we still doing our part, we can diminish that. We can diminish it.
But you know
we're not gonna get rid of it.
Before we get off here, I'm gonna say this just to piggyback off of what you're saying. I think the system is setting these kids up, because I have a family member that went along that same path, constantly getting in trouble as a young teenager. They're documenting all of it. The minute he turned 18, they threw the book at him. They was waiting on him to mess up once he turned 18. And as a result of that, he's still behind bars at this very moment. And all his teachers and everybody else, they have it all documented, all the stuff that he was doing from the time he was 10 all the way up until he was legally able to be shipped off and at bars closed behind him. That's why it's a great conversation, man. It's like,
absolutely,
we could talk about it all day long.
Hey, that's what they used to do at JCYC, though. At the youth detention center for the kids. Hey, if they had a bad enough crime on your 18th birthday at 12 a.m., they will wake you up out of your sleep, get your stuff. You're going across the street to the adult jail. That was their birthday gift. Like, happy birthday, like, you going over here. Like, it was crazy. Like, they didn't play.
That's what, like, I'm telling you, from dear, close family member, like, I watched that transpire, and I was under the impression that a lot of that fell back on the parent. But after listening to all of this, it all plays a factor, the system, all of it. Mm-hmm. So great conversation, man. I definitely appreciate y'all, man, for real. Mario, I see you got the shirt on, man. You got to raise up, man. Put that in the camera real quick. My therapist made me do this podcast, man.
Hey, man, and I like your podcast too, Mario. Hey, man, I've been listening to that mug. Hey, but that church episode, bro, we got to have a conversation. We got to have a conversation on that one. I'm telling you.
Man. It's funny you say that. I talked to the lady today about the merch. I did in my podcast yesterday how the first lady flaked on me, but I got COVID right now allegedly, but I ain't got no symptoms. So I think I'm Tuesday and Wednesday I'm clear. So I'm gonna go meet with her. We're gonna get the designs, we're gonna get the merch going. So yeah, like I said, man, like Adrian is the reason why any of this podcast happened. So man, appreciate y'all, appreciate all the support, man. If you support me, you support Adrian. So that's how I look at it.
Yes, sir.
Support the homies, man. Y'all know the deal, man. So like I said, definitely appreciate it. DJ, appreciate your time, man. And we're gonna have to chop it again, for real.
Yeah, no, the game's on. We gotta go.
Right.
Absolutely.
Ass toasted, no competition. Anisha coasting. I feel so high, I feel so live. My body's in the twine. Anisha coasting. I feel so live, and I know why. That I can't deny. Anisha coasting. Giddy, fine wine, fools, malt liquor. Wish me I'm